Alrighty. Alright. So I'm going to let that dry for just a moment, and then what I'm going to do is, I'll show you, it's really cool. This kind of dries like a gel. I'm going to just thin that down just a little bit, but you can see the difference. And then what we'll do too, when we do our makeup, like our foundation, we'll be able to clean this up right here, and that will be really, really crisp looking, which is going to be awesome. Alright, so, but you can already see the difference in what this does to your eyes, right? This side looks a little more droopy, this side looks lifted up. So that can really help you when applying a winged eyeliner. Okay, so let me show you what I mean about this liquid eyeliner. Let me see if I can get in close for you guys. See how that just kind of like peels off? It's so cool. I love it. So that way, if you do make any mistakes or you just need to touch something up a little bit, way easier. See? Okay, cool. So let me just touch that up right there on the outside. Got it just a little too thick on the top. I need it to be just a little bit lower. Okay, there we go. Ah, perfect, perfect, perfect. There we go. That's better. Yeah, seriously, this liquid eyeliner, it just makes it so easy to work with. Other tips when using liquid eyeliner, which I'm clearly not following right now because I'm doing the tutorial for you guys, but are to sit down at like a table or something and have your elbows on the table. Gives you a steady hand. Obviously, trying to do it in a camera is a little bit difficult because I don't have a good angle on what I'm doing, but you can still see. If I can do it in the camera, then hey, you can do it wherever. Okay, so next up, let's see. So let's go to mascara in the meantime, and then we're gonna pop on over and start on some foundation tips, okay? So what I find a lot of people do with mascara, and I'm not for sure why, is just that they'll only put it on the tips. Now, I do understand that some people maybe have, concerns about getting it too close to their eyes. That's totally like a legit concern, especially if you have sensitive eyes. Putting mascara all the way, down may not be good for you personally, but if it's just that you just don't do it, then let me show you what a difference it can make. So here I've just put it right on the tips, and on this side you can actually go down close to the base, and I like to wiggle it here, get off a little bit of that mascara right down by the base, and then just pull it up. So again, there's lots of different ways you guys can do makeup. These are just some tips that I have found that are help your makeup look just a little bit more flattering for you. It all depends on your style, what you like. These are just some tips that I found that work well for me that I want to share with you guys. So like I said, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. These, like I said, are just some tips to help you out in case you're looking for some other ideas, or maybe you've seen some tutorials that you're just like, that's not for me, or, ooh, I like that tip from that tutorial, and I like this tip from this tutorial. So these are just different ideas for you guys to try. And like I said, for me, it just makes my makeup a bit more flattering. So you can see the difference when you apply your mascara down by the base. Do a little wiggle method. I call it swirl and wiggle. So you swirl down here and then you kind of pull it up, wiggle it up. So swirl and then wiggle. Hey, Heather. Because that just applies a little bit thicker. Now, another mistake that I see people make is not putting mascara on their bottom lashes. And I definitely suggest that you do that, because that's going to help just really frame your eyes and make your eyes stand out. Even if your eye makeup for that day isn't your main focus, it really just brings the whole look together, okay? All right, next up, foundation tips. So, like I said, we've already got our foundation on this side, letting it set. And on this side, we have no primer, because I see that a lot of women don't use primer. And the other thing that I see a lot of women do is not use any sort of tool other than their fingers to apply their makeup. So let me, what I'm going to do on this side of my face is just use my fingers. Now, what I want you to know too, when you're color matching, you actually want to color match your foundation to your neck. So let me just give you a little view of that. The reason you want to do this is so that when the color goes from your face to your neck, it's all like one smooth color. Personally, my face is lighter than my neck almost all the time. And so what happens if I match my color to my face, it's too light. And it looks very, very washed out. But if I match it to my neck, it looks much better. So what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of this liquid foundation, and I'm going to apply it with my fingers to this side of my face. Now, one thing I want you guys to note, whatever foundation you use doesn't matter. What happens when you're using foundation and you're applying it all over your face is that you are evening out your skin tone on your entire face. So you're taking out all those natural highlights and contours, and you are making your face one consistent canvas. So that's why it's really important to go back and add some of that highlight and contour, because it's going to help give you that dimension back in your face. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this as half and half as best I can. Okay. You want to make sure you kind of blend that all the way back. So here we go. Like I said, really kind of just evens out your skin tone. But you'll notice here, by applying with my fingers, it's blotchy and it doesn't go on as smooth, and it doesn't cover as evenly. The other thing that when you apply with your fingers, even if you're you just wash your hands, you can still have oils on your finger that you're now spreading to your face, which for some people can cause breakouts ultimately. Another tip that I see that I definitely recommend you do, again, is just blending down onto your neck and not stopping at the jawline, because you just want it to be one fluid motion, okay? So what I do recommend doing with your foundation, I love applying it with a blending bud, and you definitely want to make sure that these are damp, because if they're not, they're going to soak up a lot of product, and that's going to cause you to go through your product even faster, which you don't want to waste your money, right? So this will definitely help. So you can apply some to your little blending bud. You don't have to start with a lot. And if I were doing this on my whole face with this, I would go straight down the middle with it and then blend it out from there. And I'll do my best to do that, but it's a little tricky since I got half my face applied with fingers. But what you'll see when you use these is that you want the blending bud to do the work for you. And by using these, you're really helping pack the color in and get better coverage out of your product versus swiping it. So if you've seen some of my other videos, regardless if it's a foundation, a blush, or an eyeshadow, I'm always telling you to dab it on for more coverage and then swipe it on if you want lighter coverage. So these bigger blending buds like this help cover more area quicker. And then you can just kind of bump that up into the hairline. Now, when you use these, like I said, you don't want to do a swiping motion because that's just thinning out the product and you're not going to get as good a coverage. So I'm just making sure, let me check my little mirror here, that I've got this blended in pretty well. And I do. Okay, cool. Well, I still got that mascara. There we go. All right. So you can see, hopefully you can see, I can see it, the difference between, applying with the blending bud. It's a smoother coverage, better coverage, versus this side is a bit more blotchy and kind of streaky. So now, again, regardless, you can see my face looks good with my nut color, right? But I look too washed out. Even though it matches, this is what happens when you apply foundation and why it's important then to add back those highlight and contours. So what I want to do before I do that is I just want to go back to my little blending brush over here. Now that we've kind of gotten that foundation on, and I just want to make sure that everything's blended. And one thing too that's really nice about it is you can really take that up nice and close and really kind of frame out that winged eyeliner. So that's fun. Okay. Let's see, next up what I like to do for foundation, again, or excuse me, concealer, take this smaller blending bud and apply it. Now, a little tip for using concealer under your eyes. So if you're using it for, like to cover up any sort of dark circles under your eyes, what you want to do is go 1 to 2 shades lighter. I only go 1 shade lighter because I don't want to be too dramatic of a difference, but 1 shade lighter is going to help work as kind of like a highlight, and it's also going to help kind of brighten that area under your skin, which I think is really important, or under your eyes. So one thing I see that people will do is use a concealer that's the same shade as their foundation under their eyes, and I'll see them apply it with their fingers. So I'm going to give you guys a little hint of what that's like. I also see them just swiping it on like so. All right, so what we're going to do here on this other side is we're going to go 1 shade lighter. We're going to apply starting here and kind of go in like a V shape and just work the product up. And we're not even going to go 100% all the way to that lash line because that's where you can start getting some creasing. Even with primers and the best products out there, that's just one of those parts where, it's kind of can get a little creasy throughout the day. But we'll top it with some setting powder, so that will help. So if you can tell the difference here, on this side, we've gone ahead and taken all of that. And then that also, like I said, we can blend this, but if you want this to be a little bit more crisp, your color cutoff here, that's, you could leave that if you wanted to. Otherwise, you can just dab that in. And so this side to this side, you've kind of created this V and like a natural highlight and kind of made that pop, versus this side you use the same color foundation or concealer as your foundation and swiped. So again, just creating those small little touch-ups to your technique can really make a difference. So I like this to be a little bit softer. That's just my personal preference. So I'm just going to blend that a little bit. All right. So then next, let's talk a little bit about contouring. So one thing that I've seen a lot of people do over the years with contouring is, okay, I'm going to put it, right in here. And really it's a little bit too low. I think that used to kind of be the norm, but I'm going to show you how that can make a big difference. So make sure I got enough on here. There we go. So what you've done now is you've added your contour color here, and it's I mean, you don't want to look like a skeleton, right? So because this is where your teeth are. Right in here. So you want to actually move this contour up just a little higher. So what you're going to do is feel around on your cheek. Okay, back here it's pretty solid. Your jaw is back there. You get some teeth back there. But right about in here, notice how that sinks in more right there versus here. It sinks in more. That's where you want to put your contour color. So it's going to be higher than this other side. And you're only going to come over to about the outside of your eye. Again, kind of depends where that hole is on you. I'm calling it a hole. I don't know what else to call it. Indentation. And then you're going to work it all the way back to your hairline. So what you want to do is start back here and bring that forward right to that hole. And of course we're going to blend, but right now we're just getting this on here. Now the other piece to this is, this does not have to be thick. This is, you know, really can be a thinner area, whereas this side is definitely thicker. But what you can see from what I've done so far before we've blended, this makes your face look a little bit more droopy. Same as like bringing your winged eyeliner all the way down instead of bringing it up can make your face look a little more droopy. Whereas this, by popping that contour color right here in that hole, actually lifts that cheekbone and makes it pop versus this side that looks a little bit more saggy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend both sides a little bit, because people would blend this. Even though the placement isn't the best, people would still blend it. You know, I don't want to overdo the less flattering side because people still blend. So like I said, we're just going to blend a little bit here and make that softer. Okay, then we're still going to blend a little bit more, but next what we want to do is apply a little bit of bronzer. How about that? So for bronzer, what I like to suggest is you actually apply above the contour color. And again, this is all about using some of the right tools. It's really going to make this easier for you. So what I do see a lot of women do with bronzer is apply it almost like right at the top of the contour, but layering into the contour. And really, you've got to think about bronzer from, like if you're out in the sun, same as highlighting, where's that going to touch your face, right? So bronzer is really going to touch your face more right up in here, right? Because that's a higher point on your face versus down in here. So again, what I want you to do is keep this color, keep it thin, and keep it up higher, and don't bring it in too far. Especially if you are using a bronzer that has any sort of shimmer in it. Most everybody, your pores are larger in this area. You kind of want to avoid that area with shimmer because the shimmer makes that stand out more. All right, so we're just going to pop a little more bronzer right on here. Again, not bringing it in too far. And then what we want to do next is use blusher. Now, blusher, I want you to think when you're choosing a color for blush, I want you to think about if something really embarrasses you or whatever is making you blush, what color do you actually turn when you blush? Are you turning bright orange or a really bright pink? Or are you more of a soft pink or a red? So there's different blush options. This is the color that I use. I love it. And so that's what I choose to use. So here's what I find a lot of women do is they will apply it right on the apple of their cheek, which is, yes, where you should apply it. But then what I'm seeing them do is crank it back all the way to the hairline. And naturally, you don't blush all the way back here, right? Like here. You blush up here on your cheekbones. So what I want you to do, so as you can see now, this has started kind of becoming like one big like mess over here. what I want you to do is only use the blush on the apples of your cheeks. And you can smile. Smile, say, oh, hey, there's the apple on my cheek. And that's the only place you're going to put it. So don't blend it with the same brush. Just get the color on there. Don't touch it anymore, because we'll blend it in a minute. All right, so then what you want to do is you want to highlight. And I'm going to go back to that same cool little highlight contour palette that I'm using. And with highlighting, and I did this wrong for a very, very long time. And again, I shouldn't say wrong. I did this in a less flattering way. So for a very long, long time. And when you are applying a highlighter, you always hear apply it on your cheekbone, apply it on your cheekbone, right? Well, your cheekbone's right here. But there's a front to your cheekbone, and then there's kind of like a top to your cheekbone right up in here versus here. You want to apply it on the top of your cheekbone. And that's because, again, think of the light coming down and hitting you. It's going to hit you right on the top, not on the front of your cheekbone. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is apply it on the top. So what I'll see, though, is a lot of people applying it on the front of the cheekbone. See right there? And they bring it in too far. And remember what I told you, what happens with shimmers if you bring them in too far? You end up accentuating those pores right in there. So really you want to keep your highlight color at about the same place you put your contour, you know, right on the outside of your eye. So like I said, I see a lot of people do this highlight right on the front. Can you guys see that highlight okay? Is that showing up okay for you guys? So what I want to do on this side then, so you've got your blush and you've got your contour and your bronzer. I want you to right on the top of the cheekbone, apply that highlight. See where that went right there? And you're only keeping it about right out here, maybe to the center of your eye, but that might be too far in for some people based on their pores. And then what I like to do, and you could also apply this with a fan brush because I love my fan brush, but just kind of take and blend that. So you could also apply it because this is a very thin shimmer. This is not something that takes up a bunch of space on your face. And so you want to keep it thin. And so that's where this brush is super cool, because it is so thin and it's fluffy. And it really just helps the color go on super, super light and easy. Okay. We're almost done. So what I want to do now is, like I said, people would go back and blend, right? So I'm going to just kind of gently blend this. And same here, right? You can just very gently blend that blusher, right where it's meeting in with your bronzer. And then just make sure you've got it blended there. Now, the next thing for highlighting and contouring is your forehead. So, again, this was something I did wrong for a very, very long time. And what I find that a lot of people do is they bring the contour color down too far. So when you're highlighting and contouring, I'll see a lot of people bring it down like this far. And it's too far. Because the contour color should be like a shadowy color, and that's why you should not use bronzer for contouring, because bronzer is a warm tone. Your contour color should be a cooler tone. So although this is a brown, it's a cool brown, not a warm brown. But what happens when you bring the contour color down too far, it creates that like concave look. Sorry. Fantasy football. Gosh, I had that little thing on. So you don't want this to look like your head is caving in. I mean, honestly. So when you are applying the contour color, you want to keep it just right in your hairline. So I'll show you what that will look like over here. Just right in all those little baby hairs, that's where you can put your contour color. And that will give you just a nice, soft look. That still helps frame your face, but you don't look like you have like kind of a sunken in part. And then you can just blend it. I kind of already blended over here. Okay, so then let's see, next, highlighting. Okay, so here's something else that I used to do wrong. Again, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say wrong. It's just a less flattering way of doing it. Is I would put the highlight color right in the middle of my forehead, and you should actually be putting it more right out here to create that look. So on this side, we're going to do highlight and kind of in the middle. Give you guys an idea what that would look like. And then on this side, the more flattering side, we're actually going to put it right out in this area. Not too big, just a little bit. And you don't want it to be overdone either. You want to keep it light. And then like always, you just want to blend that. There we go. All right. So then what you can do also with your highlight color, if you choose, you can even bring it down the bridge of your nose. Now, quick tip before you go straight down the bridge of your nose. If you have a very pretty nose, go straight down the bridge of your nose. If you're like me, do not have a very pretty nose, what you can do is apply a little right up here. Okay, see where I just applied that? And then a little on the tip to give it a little lift. Then what you can do very lightly with the contour color, and I'm still going to use that same brush though, 2 spots right across here, because that'll kind of create a small dip. And then you can also go right on the side to make it look a little thinner. And you can even go right under here. Now this is very, very lightly, but that's just going to help kind of thin down your nose, maybe make it look a little bit smaller, and just kind of help shape that a little bit so it, you know, maybe you feel a little more comfortable. I've got a big nose. I know it. I'm not doing anything to change it other than maybe sometimes adding a little makeup. All right, so next up, and see, we're just about finished. So let's do a couple quick tips for brows. So first tip for brows is to make sure that you go and have them professionally taken care of. I know that's a pain, believe me, because for years I just used tweezers and I over tweezed the crap out of my eyes or my eyebrows. And it's super annoying, but it's what I did. And it's simply because I didn't want to take the time to go and have my brows done. And that is just such a mistake. You want to go have them done. I promise. Okay, so what I suggest now is just not getting too carried away with the square front. I see a lot of women that want to, and here's what I'm going to say about the square front. Some people can absolutely pull it off. And mine, when I do this side, it's going to have a bit of a square front. But what I'm talking about is like a really bold, very drawn on square front. Unless you're performing somewhere, it's not a very natural look, but this is what I see a lot of people do, is this squared off look without a lot of like roundness to it. So let's get this on here and take a look. So this part here, and you may not be able to tell quite as well on the video, but in person, I can definitely tell. It's very, very drawn on looking, and it's not near as flattering. All right. There we go. It makes for a very, very thick brow. which is okay. I am not against a thick eyebrow. But it can become very unnatural looking for you and for people that know you. So what I suggest doing is still doing that square front, you know, if that's your natural shape. But like I said, going and having them shaped and following that kind of line to really get them looking good and flattering for you. So what I like to do is start by kind of outlining my brow first and then going back and filling in. I'll take this up a little higher here. Now I can go in and fill in with where I need it. And that just creates a much more natural look for me. Again, everybody's stuff is different, but when you want a more natural look that's suited for you, first go have them shaped. Tweeze any of the outliers as you need to in between, you know, having them waxed or threaded, whatever it is that you go do. And then you can shape them appropriately based on your face shape. So there's the difference. Okay, so let's see, next up, I think we're just down to lipstick, right? I think so. Yeah. Okay. What I find actually that people do with their lips, and again, this is another one that I was very, very guilty of, and I think it's because I was scared to apply it better. But what I find is that a lot of people apply their lipstick below their lip line. So let me do a close-up for you. So you can see the color of my lips. You can see right up in here, it's definitely lighter, but it's not the same color as my skin, right? It's a different color. That's still my lip. So what I find is that a lot of people are applying color below kind of like their lip line, which is some reason, like I guess that people use lip liner, which is great because if they're nervous to apply the lipstick all the way onto the line, that's where lip liner comes in. I'm not going to use lip liner today because I want to be able to show you this. So what I'll do, let me see. Let me grab my mirror here. What I'm going to do first is apply it underneath the lip line. And this is how I used to apply my lipstick. So I'm going to give you a little close-up and show you what that looks like. Okay, you can see right there and there, I could still apply lipstick there, but I wasn't. I was only applying it below that lip line because I was afraid that it was gonna like rub off or smear or whatever. I don't even know why I didn't do it. Because nobody taught me otherwise. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So let me show you the difference, what this can look like when you actually apply it on that lip line. And quick tip, I will say if you don't have, like if you're using like a regular lipstick and you don't have like a wand, get yourself a lip brush. These things are amazing and help you be super precise with it. That one actually even retracts in to keep it clean. It's so cool. Okay. So I'm not exaggerating this at all. By taking it over the lip line, I'm simply applying on the lip line. Whoops. Oh, gosh. Look at me. I'm a mess over here. hide it on my finger. There we go. Good grief, can't take me anywhere. Okay, look at the difference. My lips are more full than I think they are, but I'm always so afraid to apply it there. So this is how I normally do my lipstick. This is applying it all the way to that lip line. And like I said, you could create the same effect by doing it with using lip liner if you were nervous to do it. But I definitely recommend getting one of these lip brushes, because like I said, it makes a huge difference, and like I said, it will retract down in, which is super cool. So quick tip there. So I just want you guys to kind of take a look. I'll do some before and after photos too, so that you can see this better with some of the coloring, especially on my cheeks. But you can see the difference between the two sides. So it's not that this side's horrible, right? It's not. It's just less flattering. There are definitely some very simple application techniques that can make a huge difference for you. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them below, and I will get back to you guys soon, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Bye.